Hey guys, Toxic here for Talking with Toxic, this week featuring the one and only Heartless.
Yo.
Heartless is part of QuickTime Blues, does pretty much the only editing right now until I start pulling my weight. So he's also posted some RPG stuff back when Allies Index basically first kind of became a thing, and now we're mostly just doing videos for QuickTime Blues that we put on Allies Index. So obviously today, no Seb, no Savage, so it's just us. But at least it's not me and pictures of people, because that did not go well. It was like an 8-minute episode. So yeah, last week, well, pretty much every week we always start off with kind of what games we've been playing. Really hasn't changed too much of last week. Kind of went over my go-to game, which is Madden, which I just play to kill, past time. I finally got through more than one season, so I'm up to 3 seasons on the one character, which is amazing for me. And then I started playing Elder Scrolls Online again. Nothing special there. MMOs are like one of those things right now is where, I don't know if like you're the same, but I'm definitely in the boat where it's like they were such a good thing at one point that I'm just chasing the same feeling from them that I'm not getting. Like,
Yeah, I do get that a lot. Annoyingly, it's making me crave World of Warcraft, even though I know what I miss just isn't there anymore.
yeah, pretty much. Like, I mean, I started on City of Heroes, played some WoW, other games like that, and it was good back then. But now I can't find the right MMO, and it's sad because you're just like craving that almost like nostalgic feel, and it's just not there.
Yeah. I think a big factor has got to be that we just don't have the time to pour into them anymore.
True. I mean, the last time I was playing WoW, it was good for a while there because I had, two friends that, Savage's brother and Marcus, and we would play, get on Skype, play, do dungeons and stuff, and that was fun because, you're talking with people and whatnot. But yeah, again, eventually, we had the new expansion. We got to 100, and we basically just stopped coming online. So
That's not a good sign for the end game.
not really. But then again, I think at least I'm not really an end game kind of player. I'm more in the journey of getting there. ESO, Dana plays that as well, so we kind of play that together every now and then. And that kind of helps with that. But, I mean, I'm still paying for Star Wars. And that's been a long time that I've still been paying for that, and I really don't get on and play that anymore.
I honestly wouldn't mind picking that up again. It's not a bad game,
Yeah.
all things considered.
The last time we played was really fun as well, and the most surprising thing was how fun the PvP was. Like, I think we kind of, because we were doing it for, like, for, like, footage and stuff, and we did like the dungeons, we did the leveling, and then we went to do the PvP, and I think everyone just kind of felt like, okay, we'll get some PvP footage. And then I think everyone was just kind of like, this is actually pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm typically really bad at MMO PvP for some reason, don't know why. Did pretty damn good in that one.
Yeah, it's a game I want to go back to, and what puts me off is because I like playing a healer in that game. And I spent most of my time as the healer, so when I went back to it, I'm like, okay, I'll go healer again. But I got put into a group, and unlike WoW, when you go into the group finder, they find 1 tank, 3 DPS, 1 healer. Bam. This one had, like, multiple healers. It was kind of like they just found the minimum requirements, like a healer tank, and then just put other things in there as well. Because there was 2 healers, and I was like, what's going on? Granted, it was like the first instance that you could go into, so you don't really need a full-time healer. But at the same time, I was just kind of put off. I got into it, and I'm like, there's 2 healers, and I quit straight away.
I recall having something like that happen with me last time I played World of Warcraft. I played a Restoration Druid, got into a group, and I wasn't the healer for some reason. Is it maybe... I think you can respec quickly in World of Warcraft now or something, so maybe that's what's changed.
You can. I know for a while it might have just been you might have been flagged as both a healer and DPS, but
Oh yeah, it could be.
and
I mean,
that
I guess Druid can be anything if they spec for it.
but yeah, WoW you can definitely change over really quickly, which is cool because I play a paladin and a lot of the times we were losing our healer and everyone would turn to me like, "Are you spec'd as a healer as well?" I was like, "No." And then what put me off mostly is because then you need to carry a shield and a mace. It's not like you can switch it over and rock your. It's kind of like you have to get a whole new set of gear as well. I mean, minimum, like, you're just doing it to help out, so you probably just need, like, the weapons, I guess, give you some stats and healing. But you can swap quickly, but. Oh, and that's actually the good thing about the new WoW right now is that your gear actually does change its stats. Depending on what you're spec'd as.
Huh.
So
handy.
so if you if you're playing a mage and I'm playing a warrior and I send you a item like how you can like link it to chat, if you look at it, it'll have different stats to you because you're a mage than what I can
Makes
see.
it a little bit harder to go the bragging rights of look how high my stats are on this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, because I figured it out because like I was playing, what was I playing at the time? Like a rogue, and Michael sent me like a piece. He's like, do you think I should wear this? I'm like, no, you're a warrior. You don't need agility or something like that. And he's like, it doesn't have agility on it. I was like, what? I was like, what? So I looked into it. I was like, that's cool because it does mean that you can swap over quickly like that, and your stats change. And I was like, that's cool. Doesn't help you with your weapons, but it's cool that your stats swap over on your main gear, so you don't have to get naked, put on your second set of gear, and then do it. That's cool.
True. Kind of odd though. It seems like it may make it a bit harder to figure out what gear you're going for. Maybe.
It's basically just whatever gear drops is gear that you can use, more or less. I think they've changed the dungeons as well, so there's no longer any rolling. It's just you either loot it, you get an item, or you loot it and you get gold.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that system works for need and greed so much.
Yeah, which I don't mind if it's just a randomized, because you don't have ninjas or anything like that, which is kind of cool.
I guess it's World of Warcraft's way of dealing with, like how a lot of MMOs now, everyone just has their own unique loot, so they can't steal from each other.
Yeah.
Might be a way of balancing that out. Because World of Warcraft had a bit of problem with that. Running a dungeon, getting absolutely nothing, or one person would get lucky and get the only thing you needed.
I think ESO had issues with something like that as well, where
That would not surprise me.
where people would go in to like dungeons and they weren't even part of groups or something, or it was like they were part of the group, but the loot mostly came from chests rather than bosses. So it was more like they would just run past the bosses and get the chest and leave. The game's been out for a year now, so like usually like that first year is really rough, and then they put out like the ESO, point like 2.0 or whatever. Like that's when it'll really start finding its groove. But yeah, I think that was like one of their main issues as well. So, but yeah, a new MMO. I don't want to say like a new MMO would be good because like there's so many MMOs out there. Like we don't really need a new one. But an MMO would be kind of fun to play again with people that like getting online and playing. The issue now is that there's so many out there, it's hard to agree on which one you want to play.
Yeah. We were going to do a weekly thing when we finish up doing our Minecraft things. Was World of Warcraft still your first pick, or have you gotten a bit tired of that now?
I would still go back to it, definitely. I still have my subscription on it. God, I'm subscribed to 3 MMOs right now. So I would still go back to that, but I would definitely be open for other things. But it's tough because WoW is just like, it'd be such a good weekly MMO just to get into some dungeons and play for a couple hours. Like
Enjoy the dungeons.
It's just so easy to like level your character up to 15. Okay, next week we're gonna go and we're gonna play a few dungeons, and it's just so easy, and the dungeons are just so good. It's been there, it's balanced. I just don't know what else you could kind of do to that extent.
Got a second choice if can't get everyone on board on that one? Because I imagine Wraith is going to be a hard sell.
It seems like the people that were most addicted to WoW are the hardest ones to sell it on once they're broken.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, an alcoholic or like, someone that quit smoking. It's like, come on.
It's just one puff.
I would probably say Star Wars would be a good one because we already know that we all kind of enjoy that one.
Yeah, it's not a bad one.
I think Archage would be cool, but I think it's one that you kind of it's not going to be an MMO that leans itself to the weekly, once a week kind of playing.
I would give Arcade a try, but it's one of those ones where I don't think I would get into the world of it very much.
Yeah, and that's really something that, I mean, it's not something that everyone needs, but it's definitely something that I feel like at least some.
I really for MOBAs, but I imagine I'd get into one. I couldn't stand Dota. I hated it so much.
Well, that's where I'm at. Is like I don't really like the idea of MOBA, but at the same time, it fits itself perfectly to that type of
It
style.
kind of does.
This day of the week is MOBA day. We get into a team, we play some games, we're done. And
Yeah, if it was a group thing, I would totally play League of Legends at least.
if it's gonna be a MOBA, it has to be League. For
Or
me,
Dota 2, but I would veto Dota 2.
for me, it has to be League just because people at my work play it, and
Ah.
when they talk about it at work, it's like they're speaking a different language. And that's kind of huge for like people like us that we don't play. I mean, at least I know like me and you, like we don't really get too focused into one game at a time, and we kind of spread,
Yeah.
to a lot of games. So we're pretty confident in our game knowledge and what things mean and how games work. But when I hear these people talking about like League, I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? This doesn't make any sense. And I'm slowly picking it up, like the jungles and lanes and stuff, but at the same time they're using like these abbreviations and I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
It's probably how everyone else felt when World of Warcraft was new.
Yeah.
And people were talking about that.
Yeah, and now those things have just become like common knowledge at this point.
Yeah.
But, that could be a thing as well. Some weekly League. I mean, I'd prefer an MMO just because I like make my own character. I don't like being forced to play someone else's character, and I like the progression of an MMO.
Yeah. The good thing with League, as far as I can tell, is you do earn like in-game currency to spend on costumes and gear and all that for whatever character you've bought.
And there is items
Which
that you can
is
give
neat.
your characters, right?
I think so.
Like you actually have to you get the champion, but you spec it out to how you want to play it. As far as I'm aware,
Pretty much, yeah.
like it has a play style, but you can spec it out to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
better.
Like not
thing around.
fully, you couldn't like play a sorcerer that's now a big buff tank or whatever, but you can offset it however you choose, roughly, I think.
Unless you're playing ESO, because you can totally do that in ESO. Which, getting back to that, is one reason why I like ESO, because there's only 4 classes, but each class can basically be anything. Like, I know that when we first started playing, me and Dana each picked a Nightblade, so you think Nightblade, it's the rogue. None of us were playing a rogue. I was playing a tank, and she was playing a sorcerer/healer. So I would have... I was a vampire as well, so I had like some life gain, and the Nightblade gives you the siphon skills. Took heavy armor because you can take whatever you want. It's it's very much an Elder Scrolls game, but it's very much an MMO where they limit you on the classes, but you can kind of do whatever you want with it. So I was all about sneaking around in heavy armor, getting like high damage kind of backstabby things to get my aggro, and then I had my siphon abilities to keep my health up. She would play light armor with a destruction staff, so she had siphon abilities as well. So she was kind of siphoning and then healing to the group, where I was siphoning and healing myself. But she was doing all this ranged kind of combat with the destruction stuff, and I was like, that's pretty cool that we each play the same class but completely different. So like I've seen people play sorcerers as tanks, sorcerers as healers, like what's the build like Templar? Like you think, well, that's going to be your tank, or that's going to be like your paladin or your healer. I've seen them be like bow specialization. Like
Weird.
It's just really interesting what you can build with the four classes that they give you. Like technically, you can pick a class and then not spend any of your points in that class. You can just spend points on your one-handed abilities, or like just spend points on like your bow, and that's kind of cool. So it's, if you look at it as an Elder Scrolls game, it's not a very good one. But if you look at it as a different MMO, it's good.
I feel like you kind of have to. It's Elder Scrolls World, but it's a different game.
They're really trying to make it more like that. Like now you can just walk into a shop and pick up a sword from the counter and walk out. You can't get in trouble for it yet. They are adding that system in, the judicial system though. They're adding that in. Apparently, I haven't read this, but Dana was saying that you can kill NPCs, or at least not like named NPCs, like just kind of random ones. So apparently that's going to be a thing. And apparently that also leans to the idea that I believe they are bringing the Dark Brotherhood in.
Ha.
Which
Awesome.
which is so they're trying to make it more Elder Scrollsy, because I think that's like the biggest complaint. So they are definitely trying, which is good, and I can definitely see, maybe 2, 3, 4 years down the line that you'll basically be able to do what you can in like Skyrim. But we'll see.
There was an MMO that came out at least half a decade ago now that had a pretty interesting PvP system. You kind of had like a notoriety system at play. You could kill NPCs, allied NPCs, whenever you wanted, and you would build up notoriety. And when that gets high enough, you then get flagged for open PvP.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone attacks you, you can fight back, of course. And there was like a wanted board of all the top notoriety characters in your area, and if you kill them, you come back and claim a reward.
This sounds really familiar.
I think it was called Arc Lord or something like that.
I know APB has the same type of thing, but I do remember like another MMO that had like something like that. But yeah, APB kind of has the same thing. When you get enough notoriety, you become open target for anyone.
Yeah, basically the same thing.
Which is really fun when you're in a group with someone that happens to, because now you're like, shit, we really want to win, but now our own teammates can kill that guy. And we're like, oh god, what are we gonna do?
Gotta hope for a bit of camaraderie.
And now you don't just have the guys that you're versing, you have the whole map that's trying to come after that one guy.
Oh yeah.
Which is fun. But yeah,
APB would be a fun one to play. I don't think it has the longevity for it though.
What's that?
Playing APB like on a weekly basis. Good game, but I feel like the progression just isn't there.
It gets really slow. I know they're really trying. Like, there's been a lot of updates to it, and I believe they're trying to even switch it over to a whole new game engine. So, like, the support is
that's
different.
a big change.
Yeah, the support is definitely there, but yeah, you're right.
Can't fault them for the effort.
The progression is just not MMO progression. It's not even Call of Duty progression.
It kind of feels like you've got all the stuff you can do unlocked at the start. Now keep doing this, and eventually you'll get a new gun you can buy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is basically shooter progression.
But
like Blacklight and all that.
But even at that end, like, Call of Duty has that type, but Call of Duty is very addictive. I don't think APB has that same addictiveness.
Well, Call of Duty is a lot quicker.
Yeah, that's what they need to do.
Game you can unlock something.
Speaking of like the judicial system, though, Arcade, whatever,
Mm.
um, has that as well, but it's player done. So apparently in the game you can just basically build a house. I think pretty much anywhere. So you're make your character, you do a little bit of quests, you do a little bit of trading, you make a little bit of money. Oh, I want to buy a house. So
Mm.
Heartless builds his house, has his little farm. Oh, now he's a little farmer and he can trade his stuff and whatnot. Um, so like then another player comes on, sees your little farm, and is like, I want to steal some of your stuff. So he goes up and he steals your stuff. Now, at this point, if he does that too much, he's going to jail. He goes to jail. He has to wait in jail until people can judge him. I think it might be based on who you stolen from. So if they're online, I think they become part of the jury. Terrible in reality. Like, can you imagine if like the jury is the victims? Like,
Oh yeah, there may be a bit of conflict of interest
Yeah.
at play there.
I'm not sure if that's exactly how it works, but I have seen a beta video of that. But anyway, so you're in jail, you get summoned to appear in front of the court, you got the judge, you have jury that's players, and then they will delegate how long you have to spend, I guess, in jail or like with a penalty to your character or whatever. Which I think is really funny. But if you're in jail, you can also try and escape. So, kind of fun. That is definitely a game I want to get into, but I feel like you really need to have a decent amount of time to put into it.
Yeah, it sounds very hardcore as far as modern RPGs go, modern MMOs go.
Like, if you want to trade your goods, they,
You
like...
have to physically move them over to the other people.
Yeah, you gotta, like, get a boat and sail them across. Not only that, you have to, like, if you really want to do it successfully, you need to hire a bodyguard to protect you from other players.
I remember when I first played World of Warcraft. Like, it was my first MMO, first time I had broadband, all of that. I would go around the starting area of the Night Elf starting area and be like, "Hey, hire me for 5 silver and I'll be your bodyguard for a quest."
That's awesome. Did you get any takers?
I think I got 1.
I would do that in City of Heroes, but for free. I would just... That's even worse. In City of Heroes, there was... You could go do your starting quest, or if you kind of knew the game and you're just making a new character, they had what's called the sewers. You would get a group, you'd start at one end of the sewers, and you'd basically just go through it and keep going. It was basically like a dungeon with no boss, it was just mobs through the sewers. And it was basically like, you enter, you keep going until everyone dies, and you could level up fairly quickly, because it's just mobs after mobs. So, I was empathy, with illusion as my side power, and I could fly, so I would just fly around the sewers, and I had AoE heals, which would affect anyone around me, didn't have to be in my group. So I wasn't part of the group, so it wouldn't stop their XP, but they would get healed, so I would just basically fly around the top of the sewers, just healing, and because I was like max level, it would just, do amazing on these low level characters. So I could basically follow them around and gain them, 10, 15, 20 levels. And I would do that on my spare time. Nothing. I didn't get anything from it. I would just, just fly around healing these people that I didn't know. I get maybe a thank you every now and then.
I used to do that in World of Warcraft, but then the community kind of went to hell a little bit. Where if you're a druid and you're walking through an area, people will tell you to give them buffs.
That sucks.
Or that's how it was when I left, anyway.
It's probably not like that now, because people are probably not leveling. They're just in dungeons.
Oh yeah, fair point.
But, yeah.
If people just walk up to you and just say buffs, you're like, yes, I do have buffs. Walk off.
Yeah, so, that's... I miss that, I miss that kind of community, but it's not a thing anymore. Although, on the other hand, I was speaking to someone at work, I'm not going to say who or anything, but they were saying that they are actually the opposite, where they said that they called it Care Bears, which is basically people that... You have the people that yell at people in MMOs, and you have the people that say, no, we can't yell at them, we've got to be nice. They called them Care Bears, and they didn't like those people. They said, if you're not doing a good job, you're going to get yelled at. You get yelled at or you go away. This person also had a story how they got drunk, went into vent and just started arguing with this guy. And then this guy's mum comes on and starts arguing with him. He wakes up. He wakes up the next morning. Comes online. And he's like, "Oh, what's up?" And everyone's like, "Do you not remember?" Because he got blacked out drunk. Turns out the guy's mum had a heart attack when he was arguing with him and died.
Oh.
So the guy gets like he's like just doesn't know what to do. Calls the guy up, apologizes. He flies because he's in the same country. Flies to Arizona, I believed, or Nevada. It was one of those, and goes to the guy's mum's funeral. He just feels so bad about it, and the guy ends up saying like, you didn't do anything wrong. The guy's mom already had heart problems and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so yeah, you definitely know he's one of those MMO players. If you kill someone's mum,
Yeah, I think that's hard to top.
I mean,
To be fair, though, sense of remorse is still better than you would expect on the internet.
True.
Better than just lol.
Yeah, true. But yeah, it'd be nice if an MMO came out that brought that sense of community back.
Mm. I think Guild Wars kinda does a good job of that, in that, you're fully encouraged and even pushed into helping people at every opportunity, but there's not a lot of socialization among those groups.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's kind of like you're doing it just because the game's like, hey, you can do this. It's not like you're doing it because it's part of the game. Like, it's part of the game that you're making it to be part of the game. Like, you're going out of your way to do it. It's more like, it definitely does a good job, but it kind of feels to me like, oh, if I join in on that, I'm gonna get some shit from it.
Yeah,
and
that's basically it.
It's
not for social reasons. It's very much you get a better reward if you group up with people.
Yeah.
You don't have to say a word to them.
And you're only doing it because you can't do it by yourself. It's like, I might as well do it now. If I come back later, it might just be me.
Pretty much.
And I've definitely had
it's
that
a
in Guild
sense of a
Wars.
community without actually being a community.
Yeah. And
to be fair, though, I'm not in a guild, and if I made the effort to go into a guild, it would probably be more, but I'm not.
The issue that I have with a guild is that because I'm living in a different country now, and all my friends basically live overseas to me, I'm basically in a guild anyway. I mean, think about it. Like, a guild is a group of friends that live elsewhere to you. You go online, you hang out with them, and you play games. I come online.
You don't get the in-game benefit.
Right? I come online, hang out with you guys, play games. It's basically a guild.
You got to come up with a guild reputation system.
Yeah. I'll just have it like, it'll be like a sticky note on my computer screen that I'll have to like adjust manually. I'm like, oh no, Wraith did this, he lost some reputation with the guild.
Kicked back down to initiate.
But like, I think that's the issue, is that we have so much games to play, is that we can't focus all our time to one, because we have our gaming group. If we got into a guild, then we're not spending as much time with like our real life friends that we do stuff with.
Yeah,
online.
we'd all have to join one guild in one game.
Yeah, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah, it pretty much isn't.
So it's unfortunate, but I mean, it's nice
It's
memories.
totally something we could fix if we put the commitment into it. But it is a commitment.
I know Marcus, Michael, and I tried with WoW. We made a guild that was like 3 of us, and then Step and Seb joined, and then we just kind of gave up on it. That was on WoW, but yeah.
Yeah, I have a 3 or 4 person guild in Guild Wars, and Wraith has a 3-person guild in Warframe, I want to say. But since the latest patch, you can't even access the guild yet without leveling up.
I think it needs to be more like a Skype or like a vent server, where it's like it's not linked to a specific game. It's just you come online, you go in, you see who's online, you're like, well, what's everyone playing? You want to play this? You want to play that? It can't be just one game anymore.
Well, that's kind of how Steam works.
Yeah.
To a degree.
Yeah, that's true. Although no one uses Steam's in-game voice stuff.
No, Steam's in-game voice stuff is awful.
Steam
I wish
is
it wasn't. It would be so convenient if it wasn't.
yeah, considering Steam's thing is basically like Skype question mark, and then you log
Yeah.
into Skype. I'm like, okay, hey, you want to use a different program to talk?
Yeah, pretty much the only time I've ever had to use Steam's in-game one is when people I was playing with didn't want to log on to Skype for whatever reason. It's always the second choice.
Skype is just so good. I mean, it has its downfalls, but in comparison
Skype is
to
awful, but it does what you need it to do.
yeah, exactly, and it's commonplace now. I mean,
Yeah, that's the main thing. It's like Facebook. Facebook is awful, but everyone uses it.
yeah, it's. I mean, you remember MSN? Like that's what it was, right?
Yeah.
Like that used to be the thing, and now it's Skype.
It's basically the same thing, though. Microsoft just bought Skype, got rid of MSN, started integrating into Skype.
The only reason why I used MSN up until I moved to America is because I used to video chat with Dana all the time, and MSN's quality was terrible. So I'm like, it's terrible. It mustn't be using up as much internet. And then, because I mean, Skype is decent quality and stays at decent quality, so I feel like it must be using more internet. Not that it matters to me now in America, but when you're on
Sure.
when you're on a cap in Australia, like, and you're spending like your whole day video calling someone, I was kind of concerned about the bandwidth there. But that's the only reason why I stuck with MSN.
I just did it because it was like same reason I got Tumblr. Actually, people kept asking, "Oh, what's your MSN? Do you have MSN?" So I was like, "Fine, I'll get MSN."
Yeah, basically. Now Skype is the grown up version now.
I don't even know if MSN is still around.
I would assume it is at some point. I mean, we've never used AOL because it's American
Oh,
Online.
yeah.
But I mean, like, I'm pretty sure like that is dead, but people still use AIM. Like,
Yeah, you can probably go back to an older version or something like that. Because I remember before it shut down, there was a whole thing, like it kept giving you messages saying, "Oh, we're moving over to Skype." So I imagine that was its death throes, but I don't know.
that's a good point. Considering it's the same company, they probably just use Skype now. But
Hmm.
it can, like, because we watch a lot of Rooster Teeth stuff, and they always talk about how they use like America Online, like Instant Messenger. And I was like, it seems odd to me. Unless it's like a business thing, like it's just good for like businesses and like stuff. But I know at my work we use like Microsoft Link or something like that. It looks like MSN, but it's like branded as something else. So like it's
Fair enough.
like Microsoft Link or something, which I'm assuming is like a I don't know, like a LAN, like local messenger, I guess. But then
Makes sense, I guess.
I don't know. It looks like MSN. It's called like Link or something, but like I just don't know why isn't everyone just using Skype?
Skype does have a lot of problems.
It does, but it's just so common. Like it's
Yeah,
easy.
that's the thing.
It's easy as well. It saves your conversations, which is nice.
The thing I hate about Skype, though, is if you send someone an offline message, you both have to be online for that person to receive the message.
Really? They don't just have to be online?
like if you went offline now and I sent you a message, if I went offline before you came online, you wouldn't get your message till I logged back on.
And then at that point, I would think that you just sent it to me, because
Because it doesn't timestamp it right.
because you would log on. I'd be like, oh, message from Heartless.
Yeah, I get messages like days late. I'm like, oh, hi. And I go, what? I sent that message to you 2 days ago.
Then again, I think basically everything has that problem. Because like I think even Steam has that issue.
Steam tells you as soon as you log in. Doesn't matter if the other person's on or not.
True, but haven't you been having issues getting messages from me?
I have. I don't know why. It's got to be mobile Skype, I think, because my phone's dead at the moment and it seems to be working.
You mean mobile Steam? Or
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't use mobile Steam. I don't
I
have
just use it from work.
I don't have a smartphone, so that could be
Fair
the issue. I'm gonna upgrade. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna upgrade to one soon. So
They're worth having.
I had one and I loved it. It was my BlackBerry. It was great. And then when I was working at Night Owl, customer stole it.
Yeah.
And then they said I had insurance, and Vodafone said you weren't in a secure location, so tough luck. And then
This is technically a public place.
it's where we count money. That's where
Yeah,
it
but it's
was.
still a public place.
So I was like, whatever. So I spent $200 and I bought another one, and it was an upgraded model to the one I had. It was touchscreen and it was terrible, terrible phone, and I threw it away when I left the country. And since then I haven't bothered getting a smartphone. The only reason why I had it is so I could send emails to Dana because it was cheaper than sending text messages. So,
Yeah, fair enough.
but I liked being able to internet at work.
I don't internet at work. I just use it for messages because I have a lot of people that should be contacting me a lot sooner than they do. So I kind of need to have it there for when they finally get around to messaging me.
Fair enough.
Time sensitive stuff.
I would read Warhammer articles mostly. MSN. That's about it. Yeah, it's smartphone is kind of the way to go now. I just don't want to pay for data. I don't.
Yeah.
It's so expensive on a phone. Like you get nothing, and it's so
Yeah.
expensive. And
I think I'm paying $40 a month and I get 500 megabytes.
I just feel like, I mean, I feel like if I'm paying for internet service at home, and like, let's say my internet service provider is also my mobile provider, why do I have to pay for internet on my phone? Like, it's frustrating. And Dana's always like, well, you can use Wi-Fi, and it's like, such an effort to use Wi-Fi.
You're in America, you have Wi-Fi everywhere.
Yeah, it's true, but the thing is, at work, I cannot. It's a security breach for me to have my phone out at work. If I could just be sitting at my desk and whip out my phone and do something on it, then I'd probably have a smartphone. But I can't, so there's no point. I have my phone on silent at work because I can't have it on, and if I turn it off, it takes me so long to get messages once I turn it back on. So I just put it on silent. Then I come home and I just can't be bothered putting it on.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like you need a smartphone if the only place you can really use it is at home.
The only thing I want it for, though, is like apps and stuff, because everything is an app now. Everything's an app. Everything is like, it's frustrating. Like, there's that Space Wolf game that came out, that like card game, Space Wolf game. It's like only for like iOS, or at least only for like smartphones and tablets or something like that.
It's probably iOS.
And it's like, that's frustrating. And the worst part is I have a tablet, but my tablet is a Windows tablet. So it's basically a computer anyway. You can't get apps for, or you can, but they're the Windows apps. You can't get apps for a Windows tablet. And it's like, anything app I can't use. So
you honestly kind of have the same issue with Android ones, just because everything's made for Apple devices.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm where like you were at like 5 years ago when you got like your iPod Touch, where it's like you have it and you could use like apps on it. It's like you didn't need a smartphone at that point, but you had that for apps. I feel like I need a device just for apps. It's like an app machine. Like that's all I need it for. I don't need to make phone calls. That's
basically an iPod.
I just need apps. Like it's to that point where everything's an app, and I feel like I'm missing out by not having apps. I hate apps.
You're a slave to the times.
Yeah, basically. The worst part is it would help for my job as well if I actually use the apps that I'm trying to troubleshoot. People call me up and like, I'm having an issue with this app. And I just feel like saying, I don't know what to fucking do. I don't have a smartphone. I don't know. And then I gotta like BS my way through the call and just hope I fix the problem. Like, I mean, I have like basic knowledge of how stuff works, so it's pretty easy, but I mean, it would help me. And Dana has a smartphone, so if we're out anywhere, I'll ask her, can you look this up for me? You know, what's the score of that game? Can you check it? And she'll do it. I don't really need it, but I just feel like I feel like I need to. But anyway, we're going like rambling on here. What I was gonna say from the start of this show when I
Yes,
said that
back to the show.
when I have a safety game, like my game, like my go-to game is Madden when I feel like killing time. Do you have like a game? Because I know that Seb has like, I think right now it's Peggle, where he's like Peggle and Hearthstone, and I think FIFA is like his games where he needs to kill time or just doesn't have the brain for it, so he just plays this game to pass time kind of thing. Mine's kind of Madden. If I just feel like a lazy day, I'll sit down. I'll just waste the whole day just playing Madden. Do you have a game where like you just don't feel like doing anything? You don't even feel like playing games, but you have to do something to entertain yourself. Do you have a game like that?
I'm sure I did like a couple of months ago, but lately, no. I just do the lazy South Park thing and just watch people play games.
I do enjoy.
I'm sure there was something though.
I do enjoy the old Let's Play, but ever since I started watching Achievement Hunter, nothing else seems to really do it for me.
I've kind of had the thing where I'm completely off PewDiePie now that I've started watching Markiplier.
I just don't dig one people stuff anymore. The group kind of environment is where it's at for me, and I can't watch one person talk to themselves.
Good news for us, I guess.
Well, that sucks because I really want to do one person stuff just for my editing purposes, like for my own editing purposes. I would like to just do some one person stuff, but I'm like, one person stuff sucks. But at the same time, it's like there is some good stuff out there from one person stuff. But
I actually had ideas on how to do stuff like that.
I mean, this is why I don't do my show by myself, because it's so much better to. I mean, it was 8 minutes when I started doing when I did a show by myself. Like talking to someone just gives you more time as well.
Yeah. What game was it that I used to play? I know for a while I was playing like Blacklight and Warframe when I just needed something to do. Just because, you jump in, play a game or two, you're done.
Mm-hmm. I noticed you used to play Binding of Isaac for a while as well.
That may be the one I'm thinking of. That's a great game to just jump into, play around. You're like, that's a good half hour. Unlock some more stuff. Didn't have to think. I love that game.
I started playing WoW again for that reason, where I was just like, I need something that is worthwhile, but at the same time not like just nothingness to fill in my time where I between work and work basically. Because there's that weird time between finishing work and starting work where you're like, nothing I do in this time is gonna mean anything, but I have to do something to make it feel like I'm not just like switching my brain off, switching it back on, and just going from work to work. So WoW filled that for a while.
Great though if you could like sensu bean, just get all your energy back and just get all your work done in one long stretch.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I would prefer that to just having to kill time between shifts.
I would much I work 5 days a week right now, like the 8-hour shift with the hour break kind of thing. I would much rather cut that down to 4 days and work like longer on the 4 days and have the 3 days off. Like something like that would even work. Honestly, I'd rather just cut it down to 3 days and just take the pay cut. But but yeah, it's sensu bean. You said that you started watching DBZ again, right?
Yeah, I watched all of Dragon Ball Z Kai and then all of the normal Dragon Ball Z Buu Saga.
And
because they haven't got the English yet.
And this is getting ready for Xenoverse? That's what it's called,
really
right?
is. Yeah.
I'm
just trying to get through everything so I can do Xenoverse, like, fully knowledgeable. Also, that there are new movies coming out now, and that's kind of cool. I'd like to be up to date on those.
That's awesome. See, I watched DBZ, but it was more like... Dragon Ball Z, Yu-Gi-Oh!, all those type of things, to me they felt more like a show that you didn't have to watch back-to-back episodes. You could watch it one day and then miss it and then stop watching it. Because at that time, that's kind of how you watched it in a sense, because like one day you wake up from school, watch it in the morning, next day you might not. That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like to me. So my extent in Dragon Ball Z is basically to like that extent. I haven't watched everything, but I watched a decent amount.
I never finished it. I stopped watching it on TV. Like they do a big time skip towards like 2/3 through the show, and just kind of felt like you built up to this big climax, and then future timeline stuff, very dull start, and it.
So Fable 3.
Yeah. Except the ending wasn't so abrupt.
I actually started watching a show from, an anime from my youth, you could say, again. I started watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Again for some reason. Just sitting there and I'm like, you know what, like, apart from Season 1, where they didn't follow the rules, Season 2 started actually following the rules of the game. I'm like, that could be kind of cool to watch. I mean, you watch people play games like Let's Plays and stuff. Like, you're basically watching a Let's Play of people playing Yu-Gi-Oh! With a story. I'm like, that sounds fucking amazing. So I started watching that again last night. I'm pretty familiar with how, like, it goes, so if I get to a point where I'm like, oh yeah, I know exactly what's about to happen, this is boring, I'll just start skipping through it, because I have it on Netflix, so I'll just start skipping through it. I got through, like, a ton of episodes last night. It was good. It brought back a nice, like, nostalgia feel. Yeah, it was good. So, I'll go ahead.
That time-killing question, that's pretty much what I've been doing with it now, that I've kind of run out of Let's Plays. I've just been taking old shows that I never finished, and I've been watching them.
That works. That does work. I definitely want to... I want to get Xenoverse when it comes out, so we'll see. I'm probably not going to start watching the shows again, but
you got a lot to watch.
The game looks surprisingly good. Like, I don't like fighting games. But it looks simple enough.
Yeah.
Where it kind of looks more like a hack and slash kind of game. If you know what I mean? Like, it looks good.
It's more quick rather than coordinated.
Yeah. The thing...
It does look good. I would like to do a Let's Play going through it if it shows promise when it comes out, because I feel like there's still a good chance that it'll be awful, even though it's a pretty well-established company making it.
I'm gonna wait.
I know it's
going
to be cheesy. I'm kind of looking forward to that, but
I'm gonna wait for you to get it.
I'd like to play it. Huh?
I'll wait for you to get it, and then if you say, "Yep, it's good," I'll be like,
That's
"Okay, I'll get it."
Probably a good way of doing it.
Considering you've already paid for it, you're done.
Yeah. I think it might be delayed in Australia, though.
Really?
I'm not sure.
Just
the date's been pushed
Australia?
back by 10 days. I don't know if it's worldwide or not.
Let me check my Steam.
On the actual listing, it still says, coming February 17th, and then you look up, available 27th of February.
Yeah, 27th of February, that's what it
Ah,
says.
so worldwide delayed.
Oh, it actually says available 2017. 2017? Yeah, 2017. That's how far it's been pushed back. No,
Ah, that'd be good.
February 27th. It says that now. Unlocks in approximately 1 month, 2 weeks, 4 days, and 6 hours. One friend already owns this game. I wonder who.
Ah, weird. A friend. It doesn't say I own it.
One mortal enemy already owns this game. It looks good.
It looks good. I look forward to it. I feel like the game's not going to be good, but I think I'll enjoy it anyway. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. I wish they released more information about it, though.
I feel like
I still don't know how it controls or half the customization options. They're just not releasing info about it.
That's a good sign. I feel like
I know.
I feel like even if it's bad, it'll still be good, like, Let's Play material.
Yeah.
Because it'll be like that sense where, like, you'll have maybe two people playing co-op or whatever, and the storyline will be so cheesy that it lends itself to commentary.
Yeah.
Plus, female like
Margin
is
Oh, they look great.
yeah, definite plus. I feel like if I got it, I'd either go female margin or I would make an Earthling, but in my head I pretend that they are an android. Because that would be in my head, like, that's a much better race instead of Earthling.
Yeah, I always figured, like, a good RPG or whatever for Dragon Ball, you'd have to be an android, because they have the reason to just randomly pop up and be designed by the player. You've got your uniqueness, you've got how you get more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could make a Saiyan, but then you have to fight with the whole lore of, wait, why is there suddenly a new Saiyan?
Yeah. And
And humans are kind of limited in what they can do in
yeah,
Dragon Ball.
we already know Earthlings are weak as shit.
Yeah.
Everyone gets stronger except for the Earthlings.
Yeah.
And that's a shame,
Poor
in my
Krillin.
opinion. Is like Krillin, Chaozu, Tien, cool characters in my opinion. But their days.
Tienda's good standing up for himself, but he falls apart once the fight starts.
I mean, even Yamcha. I mean, their days were done in Dragon Ball. I mean, they might as well have not have shown up when they put the Z on the end of the title. Like,
Yeah. God, Yamcha's hilarious in. I don't know if it's in the original series as well, but just in Kai. His only moment of coming into a fight, he just shows up. It's like, hey, Yamcha's here. And he's all being the hero, he's super powerful, he's there to save the day. Then he dies. You're like, that was your one moment in the whole series. You show up, everyone's amazed at how powerful you are, and you're killed off.
yeah, it's a real shame because you have these characters, and then you know who's gonna save the day because
Yeah.
you have the characters and
Like,
you know
Goku's here, game over.
yeah, you know, like a Saiyan is basically Saiyan. Either one of the Saiyans is going to be the one that's going to turn things around. Mostly Goku, possibly Gohan, possibly Vegeta. Possibly they fuse together. You know, that happens.
It did happen.
It kind of sucks because you're like, well, you know, I mean, obviously it happens in more shows. Like, you have your main characters that are always going to save the day, and then you have the backups. But when it comes to one where like people are fighting, and there's power levels, like there's actually a level of their power, like
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, those guys are not gonna do well.
An interesting thing, though, watching it now, I remember the power creep being absurd when I first watched it. Like, here's Frieza, he can destroy a planet by pointing at it, and now he's dead. Here's androids, they're stronger than Frieza. And it just kept going up. But watching it now, actually paying attention, the power level kind of caps out at Cell. Like, Frieza might have been able to kill Cell. It's entirely possible. And then for the whole next season, they're comparing to that fight with Cell, and it's not a huge step up after that.
I never really noticed
Which
it.
is interesting.
My favorite saga was the Cell saga, hands down. So that's kind of where I remember most of it.
After the Cell Saga is where it gets weird.
Cell saga was
It
great.
takes about 50 episodes to get into the Boo Saga properly. And then it gets quite interesting. I liked where it went. And there's one stage of the Boo Saga, which I think may be the longest or second longest, where it's just Pink Cell. I commented on that, and then I watched Team 4-Star play a game, and they said he's just Pink Cell. I'm like, wow. I apparently was spot on there.
The only fighting game, well, not the only one, but a fighting game that I remember is one of the Dragon Ball Z fighting games, and the one character that I could do really well was with like the Cybermen. That's like the mini cells, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
There was just like a one move where they like grab onto the face and just scratch it, and I just keep spamming that.
Apparently, in the later games, they get their kamikaze move, grab on, explode. If you use it on Yamcha, it's always an instant kill.
Wow.
That is the weirdest Easter egg.
Funny thing about Cell Saga that I always remember is when Tien's keeping Cell, like holding him down with his like tri-blast thingy.
Yeah, that's actually what I meant with how he can actually stand up when he has to.
Yeah, but the funniest thing is he does like the tri-blast, but it's making a square in the ground.
Yeah, I noticed that.
That's my favorite part. He just, boom, he's doing it over and over again, and he says the name of it every time he does it, and it's just, he holds his hand in a triangle, and it makes a square in the ground. I'm just like, what the hell are you doing?
Well, that's just how the angles work.
But yeah. So yeah, we kind of talked about a bunch of stuff, some video games, some Dragon Ball Z stuff. Anything else you want to kind of talk about? Anything else you might be playing at all?
I think we'll mostly just go in circles.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I will say, if you want to watch Dragon Ball Z again for whatever reason, I recommend watching Kai, because catching all the filler in the Boo Saga was awful. Kai has worse music, I would say, by far. Weirdly enough, the voices are a lot closer to the the Dragon Ball Z abridged than they are the original voices, which is really strange. I feel like there must have been some inspiration there, but it's worth watching if you just want to get through the story without all the filler. It's a lot quicker.
Very nice. Well, I think we're definitely going to have you back at some point, because I think at some point we will need to talk about your card game at some point, because I've already brought it up like twice already on Talking with Toxic. So I think maybe even
games.
one time, because I know that Seb has Tabletop Simulator now. Maybe at one time we will need to just play it as we're doing the show, because that would be kind of
Give it a beta playthrough.
yeah, because it is definitely fun, and something that we do need to talk about more.
I need to fix it up.
Yeah, there's some things. But,
It has some problems. That's what testing's for.
yep, definitely. But yeah, this is like episode 5. No, 5, 6. Yeah, one of those. Anyway, so once again, this has been Talking with Toxic. I'm Toxic, and this week was featuring the wonderful Heartless.
That's me.
Yes, it is. Anyway.
I figured it out.
Eventually. Have a good one.